Hello, Tom Frezza here from the Naval History and Heritage Command, and today we are again going to be cooking with history with a recipe out of the 1945 edition of the Cookbook of the United States Navy. And the recipe we'll be focusing on today, in honor of Navy Week Spokane, Washington, is cherry pie. Now, in doing the research for this Navy Week, we saw that there were two very popular things in Washington State, apples and cherries. And because we've already done an apple pie video, we decided to focus on cherry pie. And cooks aboard ship during World War II would have canned cherries that they could make these pies with, along with a lot of different other recipes that the cherries could go into. And they would churn out a lot of these items from the bake shops. And the recipe itself actually yields about 17 10-inch pies. Now, we won't be making that many pies in this kitchen. We'll be making one. So we've scaled down the recipe so you can actually try this at home. Now, the recipe itself is actually found on page 405 in the 1945 edition of the cookbook. And again, we've scaled this down so you can try this at home. So we're going to go through the ingredients, tell you what they originally were if you want to make 17 pies, and then what the scaled down version is. So the very first ingredient is cherries. Originally, 3 1/4 gallons. We'll be using about 24 ounces, maybe a little bit more, give or take. Next is cornstarch. Originally, 3 3/4 cups. We'll be using 3 1/2 tablespoons. Next is water. Originally, 1 1/4 cups. We'll be using 4 3/4 tablespoons. Next is sugar. Originally, 1 1/2 gallons. We'll be using 1 1/2 cups. Next is salt. Originally, a 1/2 tablespoon. We'll be using a pinch. And then finally, you need a pie pastry. The original recipe calls for about 14 pounds and can be found on page 399. We'll be using enough for just one pie. And so this is the makeup. Drain the cherries, reserve the juice. Mix together cornstarch, water, and fruit juice until smooth. Stir in sugar and salt. Cook mixture until it is slightly thickened. Stir in fruit and cool. All right, then for the pie pastry. Roll out the pie pastry to a thickness of 1/8 of an inch. Line the pie tins. Use 2 pounds, 4 ounces of filling per pie. And you can go a little bit more, a little bit less. Brush edges of the bottom crust with cold water. Add top crust. Perforate. Press edges together firmly and brush the top with milk. And there is a note here as well. Vary sugar with the tartness of the fruit to give desired flavor to finished pies. So meaning that if your cherries are very sweet, probably reduce the sugar. If they're extremely tart, maybe add a little bit more sugar. So it's all a taste thing. So we're going to get baking with this, and hopefully it turns out really well. All right, so our pie is done. It is out of the oven. I've already taken a slice out so you can kind of see the inside there. It smells really good, so I kind of have high hopes for it. So all that's really left to do now is for me to give it a try. So I have my slice right here, and we'll take a piece, and of course I gotta get a bit of cherry on there as well. And you know what? I probably, in the future, because the cherries that I got were kind of sweet already, I only put a cup of sugar in there. I would probably reduce it down a little bit more. But that's one of the great things about baking, is you can kind of experiment and try it out. It's kind of like a big science experiment, really. But it's pretty tasty. It's a fun historic recipe that you can try at home, especially out in Spokane. And yeah, I highly suggest you try it out. And it's another pretty good recipe out of the 1945 edition of the Cookbook of the United States Navy. If you would like more information, please visit the website of the Naval History and Heritage Command, history.navy.mil, and we'll see you at our next cooking video.